Well, hi, everybody. I'm Kirk Rowland, Athletic Director at Lower Columbia College. And for the next hour or so, we're going to be meeting the latest inductees into the Lower Columbia College Athletics Hall of Fame, the 2023 class. And we've got some great people to meet here later today. And also a team, the 1981 LCC baseball team. We will have interviews and talk with each of our inductees and a couple of representatives from that 81 NWAC champion baseball team. So we hope you enjoy it. It's always our pleasure to catch up with the greats of the past and some very interesting stories in this year's Hall of Fame class. So we hope you enjoy it. I know LCC Foundation does a great job of putting this on every year. And so let's meet some of our inductees. First, we would like to hear from the president and the vice president of Lower Columbia College.
Hello, I'm Chris Bailey, president of Lower Columbia College. One only needs to look around our athletic facilities, walk by the trophy cases, or see the championship banners in the gym to really get a sense of the talents and hard work of our student athletes and our coaches over the years. I'd like to recognize the LCC head coaches. In my opinion, they're the best in the NWAC. Our coaching staff is committed to developing student athletes to their full potential. They model persistence and determination and are deeply committed to the values that promote athletic excellence, game after game, season after season. They are Joe Chicks, women's soccer, Carrie Smith, women's volleyball, Mickey Polis, men's basketball, Lucas Myers, women's basketball, Kurt Lipinski, men's baseball, Tracy Fuller, women's softball. I would also like to take the time to thank our greater LCC community for the support of our athletic programs and our student athletes. Without your support, we could not continue achieving the level of success that we have become accustomed to. Thank you in advance for your support. Visit lccreddevils.com, that's lccreddevils.com, to make a donation. Let's keep our athletes in the game and go Red Devils.
Hello, I'm Kendra Sprauge with the LCC Foundation. Many of you have had a significant role in helping shape and sustain LCC's tradition of excellence, either on the court, as athletes, or in the stands as boosters and community partners. Thank you so much. The LCC Foundation is committed to sustaining successful and competitive athletic programs by raising support for the Athletic Excellence Fund. This fund was created to provide the necessary funding for athletic scholarships and athletic program support. Athletic scholarships are vital to keeping our students in the game. All proceeds raised from this celebration of our Hall of Famers goes directly to athletic scholarships. It is our hope that you will feel inspired by the stories of our Hall of Famers and feel led to make a donation in support of athletic excellence. Simply go to lccreddevils.com and thank you for being a part of this celebration. Go Red Devils.
Well, welcome back to our Red Devil Hall of Fame show, and it's my pleasure to now talk with Scott McDaniel, who's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Scotty, thanks for being on here tonight, and congratulations. You have the distinction that not too many, if any, has ever had, and that's winning an NWAC championship as a player and as a coach. And I know over the years you've been a big supporter of the Red Devils as well, including have your son play in the program as well. So what does it mean to you when you got the call that you were going in the Hall?
Well, I got to tell you, Kirk, when you called me, I was driving in my truck and I just about drove off the road. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I'll tell you
We're
what,
so excited.
I know people that have been around the program, they appreciate that, and we appreciate you. I mean, that's good stuff. Let's talk about you as a player, Castle Rock guy, and I guess having such a good program in your home area made it a big plus when you started your college career, huh?
It did, yeah. So my junior and senior year, I played for the state championship at Castle Rock High School. Yep. And then I got recruited by Steve Farrington at LCC. Actually got asked to play on the summer team that he had restarted, the American Legion team. And yeah. So I played for Coach Farrington, 89 and 90, pitched there. Yeah.
Well, Scotty, playing for Steve Farrington, it's always interesting. You're not going to find a more driven guy, a guy that loved to get right out there with you guys, whether it was in the weight room or out on the field. Just talk a little bit about what it was like to play for Steve Farrington.
Well, Steve was pretty intense. Some of the things that I remember the most are the fundraisers that we used to do for our trips to Arizona. We do some Christmas tree farming. We'd get out there with Coach Farrington, and he would haul trees with us and bale trees with us, and boxing smokers, dances. He was involved in all that. Yeah, weight room. You remember that? I remember the 5 o'clock in the morning. Weight room ordeals, so to speak.
Yeah, those boxing smokers were legendary, I know, and
yeah, we spent a lot of time busting up fights and whatnot, and good times, but good money makers for the spring trip.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some of that stuff we could get away with here in today's climate or not, but one thing about the Red Devils under Coach Farrington, you guys worked hard. There was no doubt about it. Grinders, I guess, is one way you could describe it these days. And talk a little bit about your freshman team at Lower Columbia and what that was for you.
So my freshman year, we won our division, and we actually ended up losing out in the NWAC. It was your typical freshman year for me. I didn't get to pitch a lot, and I don't. Yeah, as far as that's concerned, I don't really remember too much after that. I mean, so it's 33 years ago.
Well, it had to drive you guys the next year when you came back and then won it all.
Yeah, for sure. That 90 team was pretty special. The thing I remember the most about the 90 team is we were a really tight-knit bunch of guys. We played together. A lot of us played together, from the time we were in Babe Ruth. So, yeah, good squad. Majority of those guys went on and played Division I, and had a couple of guys that even signed pro contracts out of LCC. So, really special group.
Yeah, well, you were part of that, and you obviously went to Division I as well. Portland State had a program at that time. They no longer do, but I know you guys at Portland State played high-level competition because there were games against a lot of the Pac-10 schools, Pac-12 school, whenever it was then. And then you went to Portland State, and I guess you met up with Kelly Smith at that point. Is that true?
So you know what? I never really had any dealings with Kelly at Portland State when I was there. He had left. He had left in '90, and I ended up taking a season off between my sophomore and junior year at Portland State. I actually didn't meet Kelly until the summer of '95 or '94. when he called me to ask me to be the pitching coach at LCC.
I'm sure while you were at Portland State, you heard some Kelly Smith stories. I'm guessing he was another driven coach who really expected a lot out of his teams. When you decided to give coaching a go, what was it like, joining his staff?
Well, I was coaching summer ball, and I just got this phone call out of nowhere, asking if I wanted to come coach with him. I think Gary Ernest was actually dropped my name or something during the summer. But no, I knew Kelly as the kinder, gentler Kelly Smith. I didn't know the other Kelly, really. It's funny because we were sitting in the dugout one day at practice, and he said, "Hey, you can't let me be like I was at Portland State." He goes, "I'm the kinder, gentler Kelly Smith now." So, I like I said, I never knew him as at Portland State, or what you hear of him at Portland State.
Well, Scott, I know Kelly got hired late, and so I'm sure they were scrambling to get a pitching coach, and it was great that you were available there. And there were a lot of what we used to call at the time mutts, local guys that maybe didn't get a lot of love in the recruiting world. But boy, did you guys catch lightning in a bottle with those guys, because you guys together win 3 consecutive championships to start Kelly's tenure as the head coach, and you were right there, and pitching was a big part of it. What a special time, wasn't it?
Yeah, the '95 group. So Kelly always joked about that group being Farrington's leftovers, but I'll tell you what, those guys, when it was time to put it between the lines, those guys were competitors. They were a terrible practice team, but when it was time to put it between the lines, they could play. And another group that was just really tight knit. They played together from the time they were kids, and I think chemistry has a lot to do with winning championships.
Yeah, it's funny you call him Farrington's leftovers. He took probably the 5 best players off the team and took them to Pullman with him over there at Washington State. And more than leftovers, those guys were good. And there were so many local guys. I'm sure you still come in contact and see some of those guys every once in a while around town.
Every once in a while, not as much as I used to, though. Yeah. Trying to think the thing that I remember most about those guys, though, they were just really, like I said, they were tight knit. They liked each other. They were very intelligent, and they were really, except for practice, they were really a joy to coach.
Yeah. Well, now, did you, after the 3-peat, did you stay on another year or two after that, or?
I just kind of stayed on and kind of helped out Coach Hippie a little bit when I could. Life happened to me. My wife got pregnant with our first son, and I had a conversation with Kelly. I said, "Hey, things are happening. My wife's pregnant. I don't think I can do it like you want me to do it. So commit to it."
Yeah, well, to have Coach Hippie come back into the program at that point after, what you and Kelly had built, and I know Rob was very appreciative of that, because then all of a sudden, they continued that excellence over all the many years that he coached with him, and it was pretty cool. Well, you have 2 high-level sons that were great athletes. Great memories for me doing Kelso games also, Quentin and Max, and I know Quentin came and played baseball for a year before, he went off to the university and, did the regular college experience. But you guys kind of get a chance to maybe swap old Red Devil stories a little bit and talk about, maybe, what he should expect when he came here.
Yeah, so we talk about, I talk about the 90 team. I just talk about, how how tough we were when we played, and how mentally tough we were, and how tough we had to be playing for Farrington, and going through all the stuff that we went through with Farrington, and yeah, and then yeah, I always rib him about winning championships. He goes, well, our team was better. I don't know about that. I think that 90 team is pretty good. Yeah. Those two, that team in 97 and 98 were pretty good too, or 96 and 97.
Yeah, no, you guys were just dominating at that point for sure. And it's always good the back and forth you have with your sons.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. And it's great to see your sons a lot. They work for Lower Columbia now at the fitness center, and that's awesome to see your sons. They're great people, and you and your wife did a great job raising those guys for sure. I appreciate it. After you got out of baseball and you began your career in construction, high level stuff, and I know now you're working with Cal Miller and giving back to the community, because I know that's what Pacific Tech's all about, and you guys do that a lot. And just in the last few months, you were helping us with our bullpen renovation. That's going to be a nice little space, isn't it?
I think so. I think they're going to be happy with it. Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to work for two guys that are good about giving to the community. And anytime we get a project over at LCC, I always get Cal hey Scotty, LCC has a project for you. Go take care of them. So I'm really fortunate enough to have bosses that can do that.
Well, we appreciate Cal and Joe and the Pacific Tech and all they do there for sure. And it's nice to have you on and talk a little bit about your career at LCC. I know you guys are going to be over in Hawaii, and that was booked well before you received the word on that. And hey, if there's ever an excuse to miss a little get together in your honor, Hawaii's a pretty good one, so we're going to allow that one. I know you were you sent your regrets on that, but Scott, it's pretty clear, man. There's athletes that come in here and they have a great time, but then there's athletes that come in here that not only play at an excellent level, but they coach at an excellent level, and then they continue to support as adults. And that is you all wrapped up into one thing. And that's why it is my honor to bestow upon you the latest inductee into the Red Devil Hall of Fame. Scotty, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kirk. It's an amazing honor. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bummed I can't be at the celebration.
That's all right. We'll tip one for you for sure.
All right. Appreciate that.
We'll see you guys when you get back. Thanks again, Scott.
Okay.
Well, welcome back to our LCC Red Devil Hall of Fame presentation. And it's my pleasure to introduce one of our inductees this year, Dr. Wally Martin. Wally, congratulations, number one. What was your thoughts when you got a call out of the blue from LCC saying you're going in the hall?
I was very excited. I definitely did not expect anything like this in my entire life, so it was wonderful.
Well, you certainly had an interesting path to LCC. I remember you as a player. I wasn't hired as the AD quite yet, but I remember that special year of 1997. And I know you were a little older than some of the other gals that were on the team, because you were already, I think, working at one of the mills here in town. Just tell us a little bit about how you got to Lower Columbia.
So I was hired to work at Longview Fiber and Warehouser, actually in sales by a company called Hercules. And I still had eligibility left, and soccer is my passion. It's been my passion my whole life. It's still my passion. So I thought I'll just take some law classes and see if I can play one more year. So I was able to do that. It was really wonderful.
Was that I know you had spent some time at the University of Washington. Did you play a season there, or?
Yeah, I played a season there. It was tough because, like I said, I was trying to get my engineering degree, and you have to do a lot of summer work to do that. And so I wasn't able to play a lot of soccer for them. So.
Well, Dan Nickerson, I know the head coach at the time, was thrilled to have you get on board. Max Anderson, I talked to him a little bit about your great one season as a player there at LCC. This past fall, our Red Devil team took third in the NWAC, which equaled what you guys did, and some lean years in between. But if you could just talk about that experience. You scored 24 goals. That was an NWAC record at the time. Sorry to tell you, Wally, that's been broken a couple of times. But
oh, that's too bad.
but just talk about that season on the pitch.
Oh, the season was lovely. We had just had a great team. We had good teamwork. Dan was just such a great coach for us. I don't remember why he didn't keep coaching. He should have. We just did wonderful. So I don't know. I don't remember any specifics, but going through all my boxes, I actually even have, which is really funny, a T-shirt from the season from Lower Columbia College, and it has a whole season on the back.
All right.
So, I have all this stuff that I didn't even realize I had, which was kind of cool. But it was one of those, I don't know, princess years where it was just everything fell into place. So we had a great team, great teamwork. Everybody was great. So
yeah. Well, you had a record of 11-3-2. You scored a team record goals that year, 56. And as I mentioned, you had 24 of them. That was pretty crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, you were obviously the star of that team, but a lot of really good teammates.
There were a lot. If it was 56, then, I mean, there was a lot of good goal scorers on that team, which is what you need, because you can't ever rely on one person. So I don't give myself any credit. I mean, everybody did their part. It was wonderful. My daughter is she's a defensive player right now. And so I have to give credit to everybody because I know how hard she works.
Yeah. And apparently a high level player. Is that right? Still in high school? She's
still in high school, and she's on the ODP team. So for the state. So yeah, she's doing great.
All right. Well, is she at a level way above us? Should we even bother trying to recruit her?
Well, I told her about you, but she's kind of looking at Gonzaga or UW right now.
Come on. What do they got? We don't. No, that's tremendous. Congratulations to her, and good luck in her rest of her high school career here.
Thanks.
Interesting that you come back, you play a year of soccer here. It's a special year. And then what happens the next year when all of a sudden you're the head coach of the team?
I think that you guys didn't have a coach, and so you were looking really hard, and I stepped up for that. And then I think you found somebody to do that the year after me. So I think I was like a filler. I don't quite remember, but that's kind of crazy. So I can only imagine that's why I would have done that.
Right. Well, I'm not positive, but I think Mickey Riley was the athletic director at the time, because I took over the job from him. And sometimes, you get into scramble mode if you don't have a head coach there. But that's a very unique deal to go from star player one year to head coach the next. Yeah. Well, it's a whole different deal, isn't it?
It's a whole different deal. And it was rough. It wasn't a good season, unfortunately. Because I went back and tried and looked at our standings, and it was like, but I got better at coaching. So I'm a lot better now than I was back then.
Well, interesting way to start it for sure. Now, so tell us more about your story, because here you're looking towards a career in engineering. You take a little sojourn for soccer as a player and a coach at the community college level. And now I'm talking to you as a medical doctor. So how did that all get changed after?
Well, I did the engineering degree basically for my baseline, because I knew with that degree I could pretty much do anything. I didn't think I would end up being an engineer just because that wasn't really in my heart. Started working just to see if I liked it or not, and didn't really take to it too much. So started looking around, and at the time I was actually working in Arkansas, and a friend of mine invited me into the hospital just to see what doctors do. and it interested me, and I had all the prereqs for med school anyway. So I just took the test and went to med school. And I'm really glad I did, because medicine is wonderful. It's keeps you on your toes.
Where did you go to med school at, Wally?
University of Arkansas.
Okay. All right. Go Hogs. So there was no thought of getting back into soccer at that level, right? Med school probably doesn't fit.
No. I did try to play when I was over there. Memphis is only a 2-hour drive, and so it's just for a short period of time. I did play for, that was during the time when they started the women's league. So I played semi-pro for like a month or something like that. Got on that the Memphis team there. So I did play a little bit more, but I can't really call it anything.
Yeah.
So
well, I know you're working over in Central Washington now, Prosser area.
Yep.
How did you come through the pandemic? That certainly made things interesting, didn't it?
It was rough. It was really rough. I work in the ER nights, and then I also do OB call, because I'm a family practice by trade, basically. So whatever the small hospital needs me to do, they kind of stick me in there. So I'll do internal medicine for them. I'll do pediatrics for them. So during the pandemic, I did ER, which was pretty brutal. But we made it through really well. Our hospital, this is a great little hospital, so we did well.
All right, outstanding. Well, I know you're following your daughter right now. Do you still help coach at any level of her and club?
Up until last year, I did coach her club team, and then but we're a small town, and so we did well. We've been undefeated 3 or 4 years on this team, even through COVID. Since we were a small town, we could just pick a field and just practice every day. And so these girls, the problem with kids, they needed exercise, and they weren't getting any exercise. So I was able to keep the team going throughout COVID, basically. And we did really, really well. I coached in Arkansas a little bit. I coached Central Arkansas High School, which is a 5A school. Took them to state twice. So my coaching did improve. But right this minute, I'm not coaching because I'm driving to Seattle 3 times a week for her practices and games. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The life of a soccer mom.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to do that, it does take a lot of travel and stuff like that. So that's great. Well, I know there's going to be folks from the soccer community here in town that are going to look forward to seeing you at our ceremony on the 15th of February. I know it's probably kind of tough for you to put that all together with your career and everything, but we do appreciate that an awful lot. And Wally, it's great to finally track you down. And,
Sorry.
and able to talk about you. And so, on behalf of everybody at LCC Athletics, it is my esteemed pleasure to say that you are our latest inductee into the LCC Red Devil Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
It is an absolute honor, and I really appreciate it, and I cannot wait to come. Thank you.
Jaime Johnston Amrine. As Jaime Johnston, she was a 2-sport athlete at Lower Columbia after a stellar run there at Castle Rock. And Jaime, congratulations. What were you thinking when we gave you the call and let you know you're going in the Red Devil Hall of Fame?
A little shocked. Did you run out of people to induct and I finally got on the list? But yeah, I was shocked that I made it.
Well, it's funny because I have that reaction by a lot of the people that go into the Hall of Fame, and they go, "Really, me?" And I think it's probably one of the traits that make a great athlete is that less talk about me and more talk about the teams I was on and things like that. I think that's a common trait, but there does come a time where we've got to talk about individual people that are outstanding, and you are certainly one of those. When you came to LCC and made the decision to be a multi-sport athlete, did you think that was going to be tough, or was it that tough of a thing back in the day?
it's what I knew. I played, softball year round and then basketball and volleyball and club volleyball. So what I knew was playing sports while balancing school. I knew I wasn't ready to give up softball and I wanted to play for Lisa at LC. So it worked out great when Tim called and asked if I wanted to be part of the softball team as well.
So did you come to LCC just as a basketball player and then added the softball part, or were you recruited by both coaches?
Both. I was recruited by both.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Lisa Keel, because what a coach. I mean,
Yeah.
She was outstanding. She was a person that came in here, and I know she was pretty demanding about, what you have to be as a player and what she expected from people around her as well. Just talk a little bit about the dynamic of playing for Lisa.
She was definitely spicy, but I mean, she demanded hard work, respect, and if you wanted to play, you gave it to her. And I mean, some of those lessons I still apply today when I coached my son growing up, and now I'm coaching my daughter, and I apply what she taught still to this day. She was a great coach, and I respect her still and still in communication with her.
Yeah, no, she had a great run. And I think, there were some people that got kind of twisted the wrong way by her a little bit. Now, sometimes her demeanor was like that. But as far as the team goes, I know everybody was all in because you were working hard to try to win it all.
Absolutely. She had a goal and she wasn't afraid to back down. What she believed in, she was going wholeheartedly after what she believed in, and she was a big advocate for women's sports. She still is. And so I don't know if back in the day they were ready for such a push on that movement. But it definitely was a drive, I think, for her team. Some girls, some ladies didn't like it, and it's hard to have that expectation, that demand on you constantly every day. But those that survived it, we were good. We were a good team. We all enjoyed each other, liked each other, and appreciated it, respected her.
For sure. Well, that first year, looking at the stats here, I know the Devils went 12-2 in the region that year and qualified for the tournament. And, I know that it got a little better the next year, your sophomore year, because that team went 14-0 in division play, and you guys ended up 5th in the NWAC that year. Definitely an improvement, as you went along during your 2 years here.
Yep. That last year we were undefeated, and I don't know if anybody even really knows, but I played that last home game, that conference championship game with mono and tonsillitis. The next day I went to the hospital, spent 4 days in there. And so I didn't get to play in the NWAC championship because I I think I lost like 12 pounds in that week, and I got to go shoot a technical. That's all the doctor released me for. And then it was time to move on to softball.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well then, hey, that solidifies your Hall of Fame status right there. Get after it for sure.
I was kind of bummed. We finally made it, and then we had a good team, and then I wasn't able to. I had to sit back and watch.
Yeah, that's a drag. Well, okay, then so what a contrast. Then you play softball for Tim Mackin, and although successfully knows maybe a little bit more of a laissez-faire with Tim. How was that adjustment?
It took a little adjustment for, the hardcore practices to come back to going from Lisa to Tim, but it was, a nice little break. And again, Tim was very well respected, and he knew the game. He knows the game. It's fun running into him at the softball park still today. But yeah, he knows his stuff, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I know that your first year, you guys took 3rd in the NWAC, and then took 4th the next year. And of course, I think it was really the time where Mackin was starting to, get that big run, because after that, they were winning it darn near every year.
Yep.
And what could you say? What were some of the great memories that you have from those 2 years?
I think just that, the teammates, we still see each other throughout town. A lot of us played club ball against each other or with each other. We all have kids kind of the same age, whether, up a few grades, down a few grades. So it's kind of fun seeing them all. If they have daughters, most of them have daughters in the sport of softball. So I think the team camaraderie I like that.
Yeah. Well, you are coaching softball now these days, the CC Devils, and helping out with that, giving back to the community, and you take a little piece of what you learned at LCC in your coaching.
Absolutely. The only regret I have is not being able to play fall ball with Tim and getting that little bit more instruction from him. I know a lot of the athletes did benefit from playing the full year, where I was maybe played a tournament or two in the fall. And then when I slide in, here comes March, we're right in season.
Right. Well, we still have dual sport athletes that do that. And Sunny Benyon of our softball team last year comes to mind. She's playing soccer and, really has nothing to do with the softball team in the fall, and then comes out and, starts hitting bombs at the NWAC tournament and doing a great thing. If you're a great athlete, it usually doesn't take all that long to get back up to snuff, for sure. Well, I've also been talking to our inductees. It's not a coincidence that a lot of these inductees were outstanding student athletes as well. I know you were a scholar athlete. You received an award during your time at LCC with that. Just talk about the importance of, making sure that part of it also is in the equation.
My parents always drove home education is your top priority. If you want to drive, you better have good grades. So, it's always, grades are important. A's and B's were always my goal. C is like, shoot, I'm failing type of thing. So I always kind of set that standard as the C was failing. And it was kind of like a little adjustment at first. And it's first time I had to take up, getting some tutoring with I think it was Earth Science class. I can't remember my professor's name, but he had a great lady that came in, and Michelle Lee and I would go in and, study for our science test with this helper. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, we got to actually study for tests now. We're in college. And so once we kind of figured that out, Michelle and I did, things were off to a little bit better start and grades were good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The study table.
Yep.
It's still a thing here at LCC, and it certainly helps our athletes as well. Of course, when your mother-in-law, who's already in our Hall of Fame, did you inform her, hey, I'm in the club now?
They found out. I don't know. I don't like talking about myself. So I was kind of never told anybody. My husband Steve's telling everybody, people are coming up to me and I'm like, oh, how'd you know? Oh, Steve told me, or I got my letter in the mail.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's kind of cool. I always thought, I'll let my kids kind of do what they want growing up. But I don't know, as soon as they started walking, Janet's teaching them how to throw a ball correctly and how to swing correctly, how to shoot correctly. I'm like, okay, I guess we're teaching them young now.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I love that. And of course, your husband, Steve, the head football coach at Kelso, and a Castle Rock romance for sure there, and all the way back. And of course, you've got your kids that now get to be around all this. I know it's probably special times. Sports has to be a family deal for you, isn't it?
It is. We grew up with it. Steve and I did. We grew up played, and then we both went into college coaching. And then once we had kids, I decided to give up the college coaching. 2 college coaches doesn't make a great atmosphere, and both of us on the road. So I took the motherhood role and let him, fulfill his dream of coaching college ball. And then we both decided to move back home, be closer to family, so the grandparents could be with the kids. And it's been nice. I'm not going to lie. It's nice to have help every once in a while.
Right. Well, we consider LCC a family for sure. And, you're entrenched in it, certainly now as a Hall of Famer here. What would you say to a local athlete like yourself that is thinking, hey, I got to get out of town. I got to go somewhere, when maybe there was an option of the local community college, just using your experience?
Yeah. I'd say look at your coaches. You guys got great coaches. It's not all what you leave after 2 years. Get your education cheap, live at home, commute, let your parents, let your family, friends come watch you play. I enjoyed my time at LCC. I still tell kids, I'm like, go play at LCC. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Free rent if your parents allow you, but you have the support system already built in here in town.
Oh, I love it. That's a great testimonial for what we're doing right here, for sure.
I tell my students that don't go, stay here at LCC. It's a no-brainer. Get your education here. It's cheaper, smaller class sizes. You can work and go to school, but stay local if you can. You can always be an adult and go off, and you can always come back.
I love it. Well, you were able to go away and come back. There's I don't know, something about the Cowlitz County area that seems to be a draw after you get all that big city hubbub out of your system and get back here. It's all about family. And that's why I'm so very proud to have you join the LCC Hall of Fame family. So, Jaime, congratulations. We appreciate your time. And hey, let's go Red Devils.
Thank you.
Well, we continue our Red Devil Hall of Fame interviews here, and it's a chance now to talk with a couple of representatives of the 1981 LCC NWAC champion baseball team. We've got Alan Peterson, of course, the great hitter and outfielder of the Red Devils, and Don Fenton, who was one of the top pitchers on that Red Devil ball club. Gentlemen, thank you so much for representing the ball club here. Don, I'll start with you. The 81 team, you know, kind of Mother Nature gummed things up at the end there, but I know that it just wouldn't stop raining on that final day. But you guys were 3-0 in the tournament, and I think they didn't have at least from your perspective, I don't think the NWAC had a problem shutting it down because clearly you guys were the best team in that tournament. Just talk a little bit about that tournament and from your perspective.
God, you know, I mean, let's see, I'm 61, so what do I remember about it? Yeah, I mean, so long ago. What I remember about it is I remember our pitching staff, and we were, I think, younger in 81 than we were in 80. We had I mean, I was a freshman in 80, so you know, we had a couple of guys that really came in and contributed to our success. One of them, Brad Maycumber, Brian's younger brother, was pretty tough, as I recall. And you know, I think from my perspective, we learned, or I learned a lot from the guys the year before. Sheldon Andrews, Mark Effrig, you know, even as much, you know, Kevin Rhodes, what was, you know, kind of expected, and what I think really shone through is some solid guys, and you know, and you got to credit a lot to the coaching staff as well. We had a young coaching staff. Carney, of course, was pretty young. Brew and Ty Gordon, and then Rob Hippie, who I think Rob Hippie's still coaching pitchers, you know, in one of the leagues, you know, over there, I think in Wenatchee or Spokane maybe or something. So, you know, it was a good cohesive group. We were all good buddies, and it was just a heck of a good time.
Well, Don, you have the distinction of, as a freshman, getting Mount St. Helens out by the eruption, and then, of course, the rain the next year there. Pete, you know, talk a little bit about your experience. You were a freshman on the 81 team, and you had just come off a, you know, legendary athletic year at Mark Morris, and here you were, and picked up right where you left off for the 81 Devils. What are the things that come to the forefront of your mind regarding that squad?
You know, it was nice having older guys like Donnie and Kent Herzer and Brian Maycomer, and I remember playing in the outfield with Todd Badley. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. But there was a lot of older guys on that team, and so I just wanted to play baseball. Carnahan, you know, really, you know, sold the team. It was easy. I came there as a catcher, actually. I ended up getting drafted that freshman year as a catcher, but he asked me to move to the outfield because I could run a little bit. And we had Dale Grant, I think was his last name, big tall guy, and all he could do was catch. We pretty much had all the other positions taken up, so that's how I ended up out in the outfield, is willing to move so another guy could fill and have time playing and stuff. But it was great. I mean, like after the 2 years here, I went over to Lewis and Clark, which was nice. I followed Jim Odell and Gary Bomber over there, so that made it really comfortable for me to go over there because I already knew some people and stuff.
Well, Don, when you take the mound and the likes of Jim Odell and Alan Peterson and Bomber and all those guys, I mean, that's got to make you feel pretty good. You can give up a run and still have no problem.
Yeah, I gave up plenty of runs, and we had another guy. I do remember Alan catching, which Alan was a stud coming out of high school. I mean, built like he was tough, and that move for him to the outfield was fantastic. We had another guy out there too, Jerry Day, who was hitting bombs from both sides of the plate. Run support was never a problem, that's for sure, and kind of freed you up on the mound to be able to maybe do some things that you might not normally, but I do have one story about that, and I can't remember if it was freshman or sophomore year, but I had a guy come up and who tried out for our team, didn't make it, and he wasn't super popular, and he went over to, I think, Moses Lake or something like that. They came to visit us, and I had him 2 strikes, no balls, and I decided I was going to give him something high and hard, and so loose grip on the fastball, and I go back and I just tick that ball on my right thigh as I'm coming back, so I'm losing control of it. And I threw the ball out of the stadium. I don't remember if it was my sophomore year, freshman year, but I think it landed on Dean Story's car, and So, anyways,
just a bit outside,
just a bit high, just a bit high. Anyways, no, it was a loaded team, and like many of the teams that have come through. Red Devil teams, we were stacked.
Yeah, well, you guys are the second team to win a championship, and of course they've been stacking them for like you said, since then. The 70 team was special, and then this 81 team, and it's tough. We got to start lining them up, and, start awarding these teams this honor, because like myself, we're not getting any younger, right? And I just think it's great. And I want to ask both of you the question about Scott Carnahan, because, there's not anybody that doesn't respect that guy and, appreciate the job he did, not only at Lower Columbia, but at Linfield all those years. Pete, what's your take on Carney?
He was just, when I was in high school at Mark Morris, you remember the semi-pro team, the Feds?
Oh, yeah.
I think I was a junior. I'm 17 years old, and he comes over and gets me and asks me if I want to play with all these guys who are ex-ball players and stuff. And of course, I'm like, yeah. I just wanted to play. It was nothing to catch 4 or 5 games in a weekend because you're playing Legion and then you're playing for the Feds. And I really learned a lot. He really took me under his wing and taught me, because he was a catcher and all that stuff. Super nice guy. I have one funny little story to tell. I think it was our sophomore year. We went down to Arizona on a trip, and we went to watch University of Arizona play and stuff like that. And the game was over, and we're getting ready to leave. And Carnahan comes up to me and goes, "Hey, the Arizona coach wants to see it." And I'm like, "Yeah, right." He goes, because he'd always do stuff like that. He was always, saying, "Hey, so-and-so's talking about you." He's always trying to get in your head and stuff like that. And he goes, "No," he goes, "You need to go down there. They want to talk to you about coming here." And I went down there. I didn't know who the coach was, and I figured this was a joke or whatever. And Carnahan's standing there, and he goes, "You need to quit laughing. This is real. Your first impression to Arizona isn't like, you're a joke, man. Who are you, like a graduate assistant?" But yeah, Arizona, they offered me a full ride and stuff. And when we left, he goes, "I told you." And I said, "Well, man, you and Brusco and Gordon dick around with me all the time anyway. I mean, all of a sudden now I'm supposed to start believing you guys." So, but yeah, Scott was great.
Yeah,
Just
that was
great.
probably Jerry Kindle still at Arizona. He was a coach there forever down there,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame coach. Donnie, how about you? Carney was funny because when he was coaching you guys, Carney still felt he was a player. I mean, he was playing in the summer, and you guys maybe wouldn't. He'd be going, "Geez, what are you doing?" I'm sure there's times where he wished he could send himself up there to play.
Yeah, no doubt. It was kind of funny because I got to watch Carney in his later years with my son and talk to him about those teams when Alan and I were there, and he said one thing that was kind of prolific to me was that he was so young, and Brusco and Hippie and Gordon were all so young that and they just did a hell of a job recruiting. I mean, really, for me, it was between going there and going to Wazoo and, playing for Brayton and Ralph Dick and Carney just had that thing, and he related and you felt like you were playing for a player. And his comment was, we had more talent on those teams than, I really even knew what to do with. They just recruited so well. So, and I think as players really respected him, respected the entire coaching staff, and it showed on the field.
I would say if they had some kind of competition in baseball between the assistant coaches in the NWAC that year, you guys would win no problem, because Brusco, unbelievable. Ty Gorton, unbelievable. Carney could still play, unbelievable. Now his shoulder was shot by that time, throwing right. Upper 90s for the Yankees all those years. He was done. But if you put him out there, he'd still be able to make a play for you and all that. An interesting dynamic. Were the lines blurred a little bit between players and coaches during that time, or were they able to keep those roles separated a little bit? Pete, I don't know if I want to ask you that one.
Yeah, I've got a pitching perspective. Ed Trocum was another guy that was kind of a graduate assistant. I'm not sure if Ed went to LC or not, but
he was in charge of the knuckleball, right?
There was. Yeah, exactly. They had when discipline needed to be administered, it was administered. And. No, I don't think so. I think the thing is we respected him and they got it done. They got us to give maximum effort. So
Donnie, was 81 the year when we went down to Arizona and we got back and everybody missed curfew and they made us run?
I think. Yeah, except for one guy, yeah. And
I made
if you remember, and
yeah, that was awesome.
If you recall, we got in those vans coming from Portland Airport and got back to the field. He turned the lights on, got us into the locker room, and said, we had everybody suit up and ran us until. I think there was guys crying. There was guys puking. I won't say why.
Stretched out. I wonder how long they're going to run.
Yeah. I won't say why we were running, but yeah.
It was justified. Let's put it that way, huh?
We deserved it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, probably.
Go
ahead. We don't want to tell that full story.
We'll save that one for the get together in April. Amongst ourselves. One other thing that was going on during this time is I know Carney and his father they were actually building Story Field. That what was going on at that time. I think that was why we were starting to host the NWAC tournament enough, and that structure's still there. It's barely still there, but what a job that Carney and I'm sure you guys probably helped out, somewhere building that thing.
A lot of free labor.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot.
Yeah. Alan and the outfit.
You remember when
Sorry.
we went up and had to raise money for it? We were selling the cedar blocks. We had to climb all the way down into that canyon up by Packwood or Carney's dad's house. And he was down there cutting those, and we were dragging them all the way up so we could sell them to get money to make things.
Yeah, I mean,
there's some labor laws being broken.
Yeah. The outfielders were always working on the warning track, and we were always on the mounds, and good times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, the building blocks of the championship program that LCC, this club was pretty special. Carney and then he gave it over to Farrington, and then of course Kelly Smith. Kelly's got some ties with all you guys. You had mentioned Ralph Dick over at Washington State. He was up at Western. Kelly transferred over there. He understood, a lot of you guys and what you were all about. I think he played for the Feds too when he came back at the Suburbs. And Carney even let me play 9 positions at a 9. I think this was in 80. Might have been the summer of 80 when I got back. He goes, "Hey, let's let the radio guy play 9 positions in a Feds game." Hey.
Nice.
Hey, I gave up an unearned run. I had never caught, no pass balls, but just a great time, being around all you guys and the 81 team, man, special bunch. Don, what are you doing these days?
I'm I guess I'm half-time, part-time retired. I worked for a number of years in the outdoor hunting and fishing industry, and then took a position with one of my clients, kind of ran the sales and marketing department for Truck Vault, and then launched a smaller little company, a line of individual gun safes called Shotlock, and still kind of doing that now. I kind of run that, and I'm just in an advisory role for Truck Vault right now. So stayed pretty busy. Spent a number of years in the beer business too, which was kind of a fun deal, but had to get out of that. That was just too much. So, anyway.
Well, Alan, I know you're retired too, although you're the guys I talked to that are retired, they're more busy than they ever were when they were working.
Yeah, I'm working part-time over at the youth center on Commerce, the old Cortons building.
All right.
I'm working with the kids over there, helping Frank at community house and stuff. I really enjoy that. And then just trying to stay as healthy as I can. I mean, I'm 61 also, and I've had a few things done to me. So physically, I've had a few back surgeries. I got artificial hip, artificial knee, blew Achilles tendon. So yeah, I get out of bed every day and keep moving. So yeah, I don't want to stop.
Well, back in 1981, you guys were invincible, man. You'd play all day, and it usually catches up with you after a few years for sure. But it's awesome to see you guys, doing well, family guys, and just. I really appreciate you taking the time. We really hope we can get the word out to as many 81 guys as we can that on April 29th, when the Red Devils are hosting Pierce, the doubleheader that day, you guys will be our guest, and we'll have ourselves a little get together around it, and tell some stories, get everybody together. And Jim
Nice.
Odell, he's coaching Pierce, so we can yell at him when he's out there, coaching first for the Raiders. And but hopefully you guys, and Don, you've already been a big help trying to get a hold of guys, so I appreciate that. And I just appreciate both of you, man, and that 81 team, legendary. And that's why it's my pleasure to tell you guys as the representatives that the 1981 LCC NWAC champion baseball team, the latest team to be inducted into the Red Devil Hall of Fame. Thank you, fellas.
Pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's my pleasure to introduce Red Devil Hall of Fame inductee, James Timms, Jim Timms, back in the day. Oh, we remember 1968 and 1969 Red Devil basketball star. First of all, Jim, when I gave you a call and told you you were going into the Red Devil Hall of Fame, what was your first reaction there?
I was pleasantly surprised, and it was a wow. And it's also very much an honor to be recognized for, hey, playing basketball at a high level under the tutelage of Don Porter and Jack Riley.
Well, when Coach Porter brought you from Jefferson High, I'm sure coming to Longview, Washington was quite a leap of faith there, coming out of town and joining the program up here. What were your thoughts then?
Well, coming from Portland, Oregon, Portland was considered a big city, and actually I'd never heard of Longview before, or even Lower Columbia College, and really decided to take a leap of faith with my high school coach, Jack Riley. So he, along and his family, his lovely wife, Jean, and their 3 kids, Mikey, Jimmy, and Pamela, they were very, very young, along with a teammate by the name of Donnie Bussey. We took a leap of faith and came on up and spent 2 years up there and learned a lot about a small town, how close-knit the small town was, and we had a really good time.
Well, Don Bussey, I know he was a great player too. You spent 2 years with him here at LC, and your first year, you guys didn't make the playoffs. I know you went 10-15. I'm probably reminding you right here, and then your second year, all of a sudden, the likes of Terry T-Bone Jones and Don Lee and Mike Polis joined the program at that point, and all of a sudden, you guys kind of elevated your game, made it to the playoffs that next year. It was a pretty good 2-year journey of improvement, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. The first year, I think we just did not have the type of ball players needed for the style of play that Coach Porter wanted us to play, because we played a very fast pace, getting up and down the court. And the ball players we had the second year were a lot better ball players, and they love running. And as you know, basketball is a team game, and we love sharing the ball and love having fun. And we, over and above the basketball part of it, we like being around each other, and being around each other has a lot to do in terms of kind of bringing everything together, particularly when you're playing basketball.
Well, one stat I looked at was that I thought it was pretty incredible that in your 2 years here at LCC, you guys scored over 100 points 18 times. Was anybody playing any defense, or were you guys that good?
I thought we were pretty good, particularly the second year when we had Don Lee playing the post for us. And then we also had a pretty good rebounder in Bobby Sailing. And, of course, Don Bussey, along with Pulis and T-Bone, they were quick. They were fast. We could pressure other ball teams. And we had to play that style more so in our second year because of the type of teams we were playing. There were some pretty big teams out there like Highline, Green River, and they had some what I would consider some excellent ball players. And so we had to get up and down the court to try to take advantage of their lack of speed.
Well, I know the Red Devil fans loved it, man. It was good stuff on game night there. Now, you had one special game. That was against Fort Steilacoom your sophomore year, 41 points. I guess it was one of those deals where you just were feeling it that night, right?
Yeah, you get in a zone every once in a while when you're playing hoops, and it so happened that that game, I think it was at Lower Columbia. And if I recall correctly, Coach Porter took me out of the game with about, I can't remember exactly. It was about seven minutes or so left in the game, and told me he couldn't let me score anymore because he once scored 45. And what I will share with you, my dad was at that game. And then after the game, my dad came up to me and says, I'm kind of upset with Porter that he didn't leave you in the game because with all that time left in the game, who knows how many points that you would score. I said, hey, Dad, at the end of the day, we won the game. I had a great time. It's just basketball.
Yeah, the final was 105-91, so it probably could have left you in there, but it's still one of the most prolific scoring games in Red Devil history, and it's just a small part of the reason why you're going into the Hall of Fame here. There's just been so many great players during the Don Porter era, and I think it's really what transformed LCC basketball. It got it going. It got the fans there. Don Porter obviously reached out into the community and got the support that you guys needed. Now, after LCC, I know you continued your education, and how important was that on what you learned here in Longview at LCC?
Well, LCC set the foundation for me in terms of realizing how important the education was. Obviously, my parents had always kind of insisted on us, hey, do as well as you can all the time. And I was fortunate enough to end up going to Lewis and Clark College in Portland, where I played under Dean Simpert for a couple of years, and we went to the Nationals my senior year. And after I finished playing basketball at the LCC and graduating there, I worked in city government for a while. Then I applied for a fellowship, and I ended up being one of 19 people across the United States to receive a national fellowship, which paid for my graduate degree at Bucknell University in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. So it's LCC set that foundation and helping me realize how important it was to get a quality education that paid huge dividends as I got a little bit older.
Well, your career is pretty amazing. I know that you've been a vice president for several Fortune 500 companies, mostly around the restaurant business. I'm sure that was a journey that you're quite proud of.
Yes, I tell you, after I left graduate school, I did a little consulting work, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do in the way of career-wise. But I ended up going to, I spent the majority of my career with 3 Fortune 5 companies. And, I went into the first company as an executive on an executive track, where I spent about 20 years with them. And I ended up doing fairly well with them. That was McDonald's Corporation. Then I went on to spend time with Starbucks for a couple of years. And then I ended up with PepsiCo my last few years in corporate America before retiring.
Well, those are some big time companies, man. Congratulations on a great career. Now, I know that, you are, your faith is very important in your life. And I know for quite a while, you were part of another team, the legendary Beyonds, a gospel choir. I was sad to hear that you guys aren't performing anymore, but just talk a little bit about that part of your life.
Well, we actually started singing at Jefferson High School when we were 16 years old. I think it was 1966, so I may have been 17. And it was a group of 6 guys. We used to stand around in Center Hall and sing a cappella just to have fun. And one thing led to another where we sung in the original, what they called First Soul Assembly for the greater Portland area. And it was initially at Jefferson High School. Then that we were one of 2 acts that ended up going to the Working Convention Center to sing. do that same thing for them. So one thing led to another. And as we got a little bit older, we started having requests, and that turned into on and off over 50 years of writing and arranging songs. We started off doing rhythm and blues, R&B. We used to sing in a number of different colleges, high schools, nightclubs. We did all that stuff on and off for 50 years. And we wrote and arranged our first gospel CD that was produced about 10 years ago. And then we went back to the archives. Albina Music Trust, some way they got wind of us have some songs that we had written back in the 70s, and they were R&B songs, and those songs were produced several years back, and ended up they sold out of them, and they had them all across this country and Europe and some in parts of Asia. So we got a little exposure as we got older. So, but it was more about fun and games initially. It was like a hobby, and it just turned into something a little bit bigger than we realized. So we've had great fun with it over the years, and the core members have been together for many years, and I'm still in contact with them often.
That's awesome. Well, that's some sweet music over all these years, and you certainly were, and your Red Devil teammates were doing sweet music back in the late 60s and the 2-year run here at Lower Columbia College. I mean, it is good stuff. I appeared before our board of trustees the other day, and we announced who the recipients were, and Chris Searing, one of our board of trustees, as soon as I said your name, he started shaking his head. I remember Jim Tibbs. That guy could sing. He was exciting. And so I know there's going to be a lot of people in Longview that look forward to seeing you at our Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I know you're probably looking forward to seeing this year's team and see how things go. And I know you're probably not going to recognize our facility here, because we've had plenty of upgrades to it and a new fitness center all put around it. So what's it going to mean for you to come back to Longview after all these years?
Well, first of all, it's going to be an honor to come back to Longview. Second of all, I'm looking forward to seeing the new facility, getting hopefully there's some folks from years past that will be there, so I can give them my hellos. And obviously, I'm looking forward to shaking your hand along with other folks' hand. Maybe I might get a chance to see Mike Polis. I believe he still stays in Longview, and his brother John lives here in Portland, I believe. I'm looking forward to having an amazing evening.
Well, Jim, I can guarantee you that Mike's going to be there because his son is the Red Devil head coach.
Wow.
Mickey Polis is our head coach. And so we got a second generation Polis working here at Lower Columbia. And of course, Mike comes to all the games along with his wife, Heidi. So you'll get to see them. And I know Mike's, he's already told me he's excited about getting to see you again too. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That is, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, James, I appreciate your time. And
okay.
What I can say to you right now is, Jim Timms, because of your outstanding playing ability and academic ability while you were in Longview, and for the great career that you had taking what you learned here at Lower Columbia, it is my pleasure to honor you as the latest inductee into the Red Devil Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Thank you, and it's my honor.
Welcome back to the Red Devil Hall of Fame show. And of course, this class has an outstanding one of our own right now, Harlan Cruser, the assistant coach of the LCC soccer team, and of course, the longtime head coach. And you want to talk about long time, Harlan, how long have you been an LCC booster and a member of the Booster Club?
I think this is the 45th year.
45th year.
I
Wow.
think so.
Well, that means two things. You've been an awfully great supporter, and like me, you're getting old.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we love it. We love it. How did you get involved in supporting Red Devil athletics?
Well, goes back to a couple of different people. There was a teacher at Kelso High School that tried to talk me into it, but probably the primary person that got me interested was Jerry Sisson. And that, coupled with the fact that when I was in college and met my wife, we couldn't afford to do anything. So we went to basketball games. And we just decided we'd try it again and see if it was as much fun. And, you know, it varies. One day it's a lot of fun. The next day it's okay.
Well, over 45 years, you've seen a lot more wins at Lower Columbia than you have losses.
Absolutely.
As the program's been outstanding. And of course, one of the reasons why is the longtime support of the Booster Club people. And, you know, it's, you know, we mentioned how, you know, you and I are the old people around the program right now. It's hard to get the younger folks to kind of get involved in this a little bit. What do you see as, you know, I guess it's all the distractions in today's world, isn't it?
Well, that's a lot of it. I don't know. I've been a little disappointed in the involvement of some of the younger people. I think they're missing out on something that's a lot of fun. And I think they should look around a little bit.
Well, the monetary support's there. You know, the Booster Club's about 200 or so, but the folks that are consistently coming to the games, those are down a little bit. There's no doubt, and I think this is across the board, high school sports and all that. But
I think the pandemic had a little to do with it.
yeah,
That kind of took a lot of steam out of things.
yeah. Well, thank goodness for you folks that continue to you know, support the Red Devils. And 45 years, that's amazing. That don't do the math. You know, I know the Booster Club memberships weren't always $200, but hey, if you do the math, that's a pretty big, sizable contribution. And not just that as a Booster Club member, Harlan, I know you've also put your money along a lot of the other fundraising that goes on as well, not to mention your time fundraising for the soccer program. So I just want to make sure you know how much we appreciate all that you have done. And speaking of soccer, you've been around it a long time. For years, you were an official at Red Devil matches, and then you became a coach. Talk a little bit about the dynamic of taking over the program when it had been shut down for 2 years in a budget cutting measure.
Well, I think if you will remember, because you were there when Max and I came and talked to you about the idea of it. We had heard that Max knew that it was going to be restarted, and the idea of maybe me being interested, and we sat down and we talked. I thought it was going to be a very easy move. I was wrong. Not that it was difficult. It was just difficult to talk to people. Starting up a brand new program is easier than starting up one that had been killed, if you will, and trying to get it going again. But, you know, good people behind it. I had a lot of support from yourself and the administration there and everything. And I don't think anyone believed that it was going to be as easy. I think I probably was the most confused of the whole bunch. But we had some good kids come in, and it was just a lot of perseverance and a lot of slow improvement over the last first few years. And then things started to pick up a little bit. As you know, the pipeline to Utah has been a big thing for us. And I'm sure glad that we were able to get that started, but there's been good local kids around, and it's just getting the right talent in and the right mixture.
Well, in this world of what have you done for me lately? I need information right now. I need victories right now and all that. It was a slow build for you. And I know there were some tough seasons there where, getting wins were really difficult. But what I did see was every year it got a little better, little better. And then, your last year as the head coach, it was on to the playoffs. And I know that was a real proud moment for you. Talk a little bit about that team.
Well, that was just, I always thought, it'd take 2 or 3 years, and it took 7, I think it was, and to get to the playoffs. But we knew we were on the right road when other coaches started talking to me about, oh, you guys are so much different than you were a year ago. And that kept coming each year. We found out that we were getting a little, worrying people a little more. And that was motivation enough for me to want to continue and keep getting better. And I felt that maybe it was time to bring someone in with a little more energy. And but I really wanted that playoff spot that year, and it worked out for me. And like I say, the support from the administration's been fantastic.
Yeah, that was good. And then Brian Vogel took it on for a year there, and then now Joe Chicks is in there, and the constant over all of these years has been Harlan Cruser. And Harlan, how proud of you were on the team this just past season, just completed to make it all the way to the Final Four.
I could never have imagined how much fun it would have been, and how much fun it was, and how proud I am of the way things have been picked up. And that's why I'm still stumbling around, is because I'm having a good time.
Well, a lot of people don't know what it takes to be a head coach at this level. If it was just coaching and practice, it would be a piece of cake, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the things during your time as the head coach and as the assistant that you've been busy with supporting the student athletes for LCC soccer?
Well, as you know, it goes way beyond anything anybody imagined. I received a phone call last year as an assistant coach. Girl was stuck out alongside Lake Sacagawea with a flat tire and a busted rim, and can you help me out? And so I go in and take her around, get the car fixed and get it up and running and going. And you've got housing issues, you've got finding places for them to live, are they getting enough to eat? All of those kinds of things I never figured would be part of what I ended up doing. And the paperwork and stuff like that, it's just so much more than just getting out on a practice field. You really get to know these kids.
Yeah, and they appreciate it. That's for sure.
Yes.
Maybe they don't always show it, but when it comes down to it, they appreciate you guys.
Oh, they definitely do. I mean, I have not been disappointed in the appreciation given back from the players. It's been great all along. You kind of bond with them. They look at you as a parent, or in my case, a grandparent or something like that, but that's okay. It's good.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. The support you give and the support you've given over all these years. And hey, I can't talk to you without mentioning the other 45-year Booster Club member, the person that makes you look good, and that's your wife, Lorna.
Yeah, she's been a great support. A couple of times I've said, well, I think I'm going to give it up. And she says, what are you going to do? And I say, well, I don't know. And she says, you wander around here like you're bored when you haven't got something going on. So just, stick it out. And I keep doing that. And my whole family, my son even just says, well, go have a good time, because it's going to end someday.
Yeah. Well, they all of these young people keep us young. There's no doubt about that. We really appreciate Lauren and all the support that she's given us.
She's been great.
Just behind the scenes and supporting you so that you can support us, and just her being over there, in the stands watching the games and stuff. It means a lot to us. Not to mention all the work she helps us with at the baseball tournaments and all the other stuff. That's much appreciated.
It's turned into being quite a hobby for both of us. Some people think it's a job. Yeah, it can be at times, but it's more a hobby and fun than it is work.
Well, LCC athletics a way of life if you let it be, and it's very rewarding, and that's why we're so proud to bestow upon you the latest inductee in the Lower Columbia Red Devil Hall of Fame, Harlan Cruser. Harlan, congratulations.
Thank you. It's a real honor. I'm very excited about it and very happy and surprised.